in true BetMGM game day fashion, we thought we would power rank the 5 games we are most interested, most curious, most excited to see where they land on the schedule. Our top 5 matchups that we're most curious about where they end up. PJ, I'll let you lead us off. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of overlap because there are some real marquee games, but we may rank them differently. We'll see where it falls.
So my prediction is that we're going to agree on 3 of our 5 games. Like when I was making this list, I'm like, I think a majority of people will have these 3, and then 4 or 5 is kind of like up to your interpretation or what you prefer. My 5th game though, Chris, I'll start with the Bills at the Patriots. The way those 2 games went last year with New England going into Buffalo on Sunday night and beating them, and then the return game in Foxborough when the Pats had the 21-0 lead, Bills come all the way back. And then just now with all the stuff going on with Vrabel and the Patriots, and they come off the Super Bowl, and are they going to have a hangover? And the fact that it's a divisional game, the Bills are this team that with Josh Allen are the standard, but with the Patriots now off the Super Bowl and winning the division, it's just very intriguing. So that is my number 5 game for me, is going to be the Bills at the Patriots. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to go back and forth with you?
No, go ahead. Run through your 5.
So that's my 5, Bills at Patriots. 4, I'm going to do the Chiefs at the Seahawks. I'm excited for this game. Kenneth Walker going back to Seattle is going to be a lot of fun. Watching Mahomes against that defense, I'm very excited for. And Chris, I love these type of games, man. AFC, NFC, where you only see Kansas City and Seattle once every 8 years. You figure that's going to be a primetime game, so Mahomes has to deal with all that crowd noise in the 12s. I'm really excited for that chess match between Andy Reid and Mike McDonald, and then the Kenneth Walker storyline as well. I think will be a lot of fun. So Chiefs, Seahawks, number 4 for me. Number 3, Packers at Bears. I mean, both games we got at Soldier Field last year between those 2 teams were instant classic. The regular season game, and then certainly the playoff game that everybody in Chicago will always remember. A lot of people feel like this is the best rivalry in the NFL because it's the oldest rivalry. These 2 cities do not like each other. These 2 franchises do not like each other. And now what's great, Chris, is the 2 head coaches despise each other. Ben Johnson absolutely hates Matt LaFleur, which is awesome. So it's great to have the Bears back. It's great to have them relevant, and it's great to have this rivalry back. I can't wait to watch this latest chapter of Packers at Bears. So that is my number 3. Ravens at Steelers, number 2.
Yeah,
and Chris, I mean, you're a Steelers guy. I'm a Ravens guy. Most people, though, I think would agree, even if you're not a fan of those teams, year after year for the last 20 years, the best game is Ravens-Steelers. And when it's in Pittsburgh, it's just different because it's usually always a primetime game. And the way that game ended last year, Chris, with the Steelers going to the playoffs and Luke missing the kick, the fact that it's going to be the first iteration we have of no Tomlin and no Harbaugh for nearly 20 years. It's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to that game. And then number 1 has got to be the rematch of last year's NFC title game, the Rams at the Seahawks, arguably the 2 best teams in the NFL, division rivals. We all agreed that last year when those 2 teams played, that was the de facto Super Bowl. And if they meet again in the playoffs, it could very well end up being the same case. So Rams at Seahawks, that game, I mean, all 3 games that those teams played last year were unbelievable. They all came down to the wire, and I expect that game to be no different. So my top 5, Rams, Seahawks, the game I'm most excited for, Ravens at Steelers 2, Packers at Bears 3, Chiefs at Seahawks 4, and Bills at Patriots 5.
So, you were right. We do have some matches in our lists, and I'll get to mine in a second here on BetMGM Game Day. Chris Mack alongside PJ Glasser as we power rank the 5 games. We're most excited to see where they fall on the NFL schedule Thursday night. This segment sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive and get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. But only 2 of them do we have matches on, PJ. So I'll get to where we differ in just a second here, but only 2 do we match on. Number 5 for me, although you've got a very strong list, and I like it. I like Buffalo, New England. I like Green Bay, Chicago. I like your top 2. All solid matchups. Number 5 for me is Broncos at Patriots. And let me tell you why I think we get this early in the year. I think we get this early in the year because Obviously, it's the AFC Championship game rematch, but in Foxborough rather than in Denver, and with Bo Nix rather than without Nix, and probably without the weather that we got playing a huge part in the second half of the AFC Championship game. But also, look, the league isn't going to admit it, but they would love to capitalize on the heat around Mike Vrabel. It's not going to be a storyline. They're not going to talk about it on the broadcast. And in fact, they'll probably be told not to really explicitly mention it. But they're, depending on who the crew is, maybe we get this on like a Thursday night and Al Michaels just sort of slyly slides something in there. Well, with all the issues Mike Vrabel faced this offseason, I think it sets up for a really juicy early Thursday night matchup in primetime, the AFC Championship game rematch between the Broncos and the Patriots. But like I said, with Nix, probably without the weather, and with all the Vrabel nonsense included. So I have that number 5, Broncos-Patriots. Number 4, another Patriots game. And again, I think we probably get it early in the year in order to capitalize on what remains of the Vrabel heat, even though the networks won't want to explicitly mention it. It's a Super Bowl rematch. We got the Patriots going out to the Pacific Northwest to face the Seahawks. I absolutely love a Super Bowl rematch. Whether we think both teams deserve to be there or not. Whether we think the Super Bowl was actually a good game or not. It wasn't. All of those things included, I want Patriots and Seahawks. I can't wait to see where that lands on the schedule. Again, with it being a rematch of a late playoff game last year, I think that's one of the ones I'm most looking forward to happening early in the season. Number 3 for me. Like you said, we're both AFC North guys. But this does not involve my Steelers, PJ. It involves the return of Trey Hendrickson to Cincinnati with your Baltimore Ravens. It's an AFC North rivalry. My hope would be that we get both a healthy Joe Burrow and a healthy Lamar Jackson. I think you roll all that up. You've got a really great matchup. 2 teams. I think the Bengals, obviously, I've said this a couple times, have to get back into the playoffs. Just for Zach Taylor's job security's sake, they have to get back into the playoffs. So Ravens, Bengals, could be a battle depending on when it happens for the AFC North crown. Love that matchup at number 3. Number 2, you mentioned it already. Everything that goes into it. No Tomlin, no Harbaugh, Mike McCarthy, Jesse Minter, Tyler Loop kicking at Heinz Field. I'll never call it Acrisure Stadium again. And just the nature of the rivalry, it's got to be Ravens at Steelers. This is not one that you can just drop in late September. This one has to be played in November or December with some chill in the air, maybe some precipitation, hopefully a healthy Lamar Jackson. We'll see if it's Aaron Rodgers for the Steelers. Most likely will be. But that is one that even if I weren't a Steelers fan and you weren't a Ravens fan, PJ, that is one we would have circled on the calendar as an NFL fan at large. You want to see Ravens Steelers because it always means something. Both teams could go, it could be the final week of the season and both teams could go in 6-10 with no hope of making the playoffs. They would still try to just knock the crap out of each other. So doesn't matter where it is. Steelers Ravens is one I'm looking forward to. And then number 1, I hate to agree because it's not exactly great for sports talk radio, but I have to agree. It's Rams Seahawks. That's the one. Rematch of the NFC Championship game. Hopefully late in the year. The 2 best teams in the league, I think, in my opinion. Overall, most talented, deepest, some of the best coaches. Rams Seahawks is number 1 for me as well. So we match on 1 and 2 at Rams Seahawks, Ravens Steelers. You had Packers Bears. I had that in the mix on my board, so to speak. You had Bills Patriots, a good call as well. Chiefs Seahawks, I definitely had an eye on. I think Kenneth Walker III going back to Seattle will be an interesting storyline there, as well as Mahomes and where he's at, depending on when that game is played. And then anything involving the Patriots and Vrabel, I think early in the year is going to have some added extra heat to it.
I'm very interested to see, Chris, what they end up doing with the Patriots in week 1. especially if Vrabel's the coach, when that is the game that ends up having the most heat on it? Do they just bury them in a 1 o'clock CBS game? Like last year, they opened up against the Raiders. Do they do something similar where it's just one of those games buried in the 1 o'clock slate? Or do they put them on prime time against the Bills or against the Broncos and kind of add fuel to the fire? It's going to be very interesting to see what they end up doing. I always love seeing the first things I look for when the schedule comes out, Chris, obviously who my team's playing, the Ravens. I go to their schedule first, but then it's the week 1 slate and then it's the Thanksgiving slate. Those are the two things after I look at the Ravens schedule that I'm most intrigued, because you want to see what are the games that we kick off the season with, and then Thanksgiving. And I know the NFL's taking over Christmas too, so I probably have to put that in the rotation. What's the Christmas Day games as well? But usually week 1 and Thanksgiving, those are the first things that I look at.
My favorite thing to do, as soon as it's up, and it gets posted pretty quickly these days, somebody will print that color-coded 18-week schedule grid with all 32 teams across the top and 32 down the side. And you sit there and you're like, oh, yeah, this week's going to be good. And then you start to think about your fantasy teams. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be missing this guy, that guy, and this guy. And I know it really ultimately means nothing about the wins and losses, but it's just fun to look at because you want to know, like you said, what am I going to be watching on Thanksgiving? What am I going to be watching on Christmas? Who is my favorite team playing week 1 and then late in the year? How many division games do they have stacked up? How many are on the road? I think it's moved from dorky football fan thing, which I would qualify both of us as. We love the intricacies of this stuff. It's graduated to, I think every fan now is into the schedule release, the way it's been manipulated over the last couple of years, and just wanting to dive into, especially in mid-May, when it feels like we've been without football forever, and we start to think the juices start to flow for mini camps and training camps in a couple of months. It gives you that realization that football is not that far off on the horizon.
100%. I'm with you. I know exactly what grid you're talking about. I can't wait for that one. Chris, I'm just so excited for the week 1 games to drop and we get lines on these games, because on a lot of these games, like imagine last year the schedule comes out, you're seeing it's Broncos Chiefs on Christmas and they drop a line like Chiefs -6.5, right? Then flash forward, we're on Christmas night. The Broncos closes a 13.5-point favorite in that game because they end up getting the 1 seed and Chris Ludacune is starting for Kansas City. So I always love seeing the initial lines when everybody's healthy. We have all these perceptions around what these teams are going to be. And then what ends up happening like later in the year. Or as we were talking off air, I mean, the Patriots lost to the Raiders in week 1. New England was a 2.5-point favorite in that game. Chris, if they played that game in week 16, New England would have been a 14.5-point favorite at home. So it's just, it's crazy. I love looking at that stuff.